Okay, we'll call the meeting to order.
They're gonna call me.
When I get there.
Got Kim and Beth as our representatives tonight, welcome.
I wanna see you.
And turn her over to Mr. Severson for some thank yous and congratulations.
Just a couple thank yous, the office staff for getting things ready, making sure that we're getting ready for what is coming for a reopening, which we don't know yet, but that'll be started. And then to the custodians, if you've been around the building, they're down in the locker room area right now, and then they'll be moving into the office next week, so everything is getting completed, and painters are here, and they're doing high school wing now, so. Thank you to all those for all their hard work.
Okay, thank you. Agenda, we've got kind of two meetings basically tonight, but I'd like to put in the right above correspondence and discussion in that other, put update on the reopen process. Do you want to add that? One thing we need to add?
Are you in the new year or the old year?
New year.
New Year,
New year.
way at the bottom,
Way in the very
right
bottom.
before we adjourn.
Is there anything else you guys
I don't
want
have
to add? Svasi, you have anything? Nothing else? Okay, so we need to make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll second.
Second by Cindy. All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Consent agenda has some other items this month. Maybe Lindsay, you want to touch base on a couple of them, or?
Sure. So the Pledge of Securities was sent to all of you, and that is just confirming what we have matches what they have, and it does. I've balanced the checkbook, so that just needs an approval, so I can sign that and send it off. And then the pupil membership summary, which I sent out to you, on that, it has .09 number for ADM pre-K and ADA pre-K. And we checked on that, and Mr. Severson got verification that that was for special ed services that two students received. So that is in fact a correct number. And so because of that discrepancy, the financial report isn't ready, because the STARS system tells me that we can't have that. And also there's an error, I think, on their end, pulling correct career and tech numbers, because other schools are having the same problem. And I need to find out how we enter our bond information now that we've done the refinancing. And Adam Tesher is on vacation or out of the office and not returning phone calls. So he was supposed to be back in today, but I don't know that anyone got an answer, because lots of people on the business manager listserv have similar questions. So I double checked with Harold, and he said that it's not imperative that we approve that tonight. It can wait until August, because it's not actually due until September 15th. So.
Any other questions on consent agenda? So we could just table that till August, that part of it?
Yep.
So that's what we'll probably do, table that till August. So any questions on the other items on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Chad? That would be a roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brett,
Okay.
Michelle.
Yes.
Okay, move to committee reports. President's report, I have nothing. Career and tech, we actually meet tomorrow, so I have nothing there. Budget and finance, we can probably address that when
Yep, we got the budget, yep. Yep. When we get to the budget, we can do that. I think we got a portion on that.
Yeah, so we can do that
Yep.
then with the other part, talk
Yep.
about that later.
Yep.
So, Mr. Severson, activity director.
Nothing right now. Tomorrow morning, they're supposed to be offering guidance from the North Dakota High School Activity Association regarding return to play for the fall. We have no indication of what's going on at this point, so we won't know anything. But when I do, I will put it in the letter and send it out to you.
Any questions, AD?
I have a question.
Okay,
What do we need to do with this, the co-oping of the wrestling? Remember, we talked about this last spring, and we said we're gonna wait until fall. What needs to happen?
We can do it at any point because we don't have a program. They can take us on any time if they want to, so. We just have to contact Valley City and see if they wanna add us to their program.
Okay, well, what I know is that they do want to, so do you do that, or who does that?
I can talk to Mike Schultz and see what
Okay,
the process is. I'll call him tomorrow.
that would be great, thank you.
Yep.
Any others? Thanks, Mike. Mrs. Bitts, technology report?
I don't have a whole lot for technology, I'll just answer real quick if you have any questions. Panels are getting set up and, well, they're all installed, but just they're getting updated and programmed. Almost halfway through with those, and then just summer stuff of getting students' devices, the seniors' devices cleaned up and, getting the rotation started of kids that'll be getting laptops next year and just working through labs and devices. Laptops is something we'll probably have to talk about when we have our COVID, planning and how that's going to work. Some of the things that I'm thinking in the back of my mind are just like cleaning devices, or if it's gonna clean devices, or shared computers in the classroom, or our laptop cards. Kids are always checking out laptops in and out, so, kind of in the back of my mind, thinking some of those things.
Okay.
Questions, just typical summer work.
So are you still planning to hand out the iPads and computers like 2 days after school starts?
Yeah, we'll do it after school starts.
Yeah.
It just.
Like you've always done in the past,
Yeah.
right?
I usually go to Mr. Samuelson's room that first day one, usually just, the elementary ones are already in the classrooms. I just go in every hour, day one, and give it to them.
Okay.
Thanks, Melissa. Mrs. Bussey, pre-K-6 report.
That we're interviewing for the para position tomorrow. We had 8 applicants, so, that'll take place all day tomorrow. We should have a decision Friday. One of our applicants might have to Zoom in over the weekend, so it might be Monday. Tina and I have been working on organizing the guided reading room. That's what I was doing, and I lost track of time. And so I'm hoping to get that organized and then start providing professional development for teachers so we could utilize all of those excellent resources in there. That's all for elementary though.
Any questions? Thank you. Mr. Wilson have any report?
Nope, he didn't have anything today.
Do you have anything else, Mike?
Just there's a virtual summit on innovative education, next Tuesday, from 8 to 4:30. It's a governor's summit, he does it every year, and this year they're going online, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Unfinished, I guess, we got the certified staff leave hours and payout recommendation. We sent them all out, or emailed them all out to everybody. Kind of what the budget and finance group had recommended. Do you want to add anything from
No,
anybody?
you
from
should
that
have
group?
everything, and we can go through it if you want to, if not, we'll, I guess, do we have a copy, somebody have a copy of it, we can,
I don't have a physical copy, no.
the letter I sent?
Yep,
You-
was it on the board, or the,
Yep, the letter.
Yep.
Do you have it?
yep,
You can go through them if you want to, we can just see if that's. No, is there any- read it, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so the recommendations that were brought, that the committee is recommending is the 7 days or 56 hours that were originally PTO is gonna be switched, or would like to be switched to 5 days, 40 hours of sick leave, and then 2 days, which would be 16 hours of floating holiday, which would be a personal time. Sick leave cumulative to the 50 days or 400 hours, and the floating holidays would be cumulative to 5 days or 40 hours. And then the policy committee would get together to draw up the guidelines for the sick leave usage. Employees that have accumulated PTO hours, you'd have the following options to use those. You can either move all of the accumulated hours to sick leave, you could receive a payout for all accumulated hours. Or third, you could take a max of 10 days or 80 hours of personal leave, and then whatever leave is left could be put into sick leave, payout, or a combination of both. 9-month employees will receive 1 extra floating holiday for every 10 years of service to the BCN district. And that would be kind of what the vacation, with the 12-month employees, they get an extra week every 10 years. So it would, even that out, they went with 1 extra floating holiday for just the 9-month employees, not the 12-month. And then the 12-month vacation stays the same. Buyback, there will be no more buyback of any days over the cap. So in other words, vacation days will be lost if not used. Determine that leave will be based on your standard work week for individual employees. And this one, maybe Lindsay can explain a little more if anybody has any questions, but if you're a 40-hour work week and you have 36 hours in on Thursday and want to take Friday off, you just use 4 hours, not 8 hours, okay? So you go to the 40 hours instead of going over to 44 and getting paid out on that. So it'd be just whatever hours you work. If you work 36 or 30 or however many it is, that's the end of the week, how much you would take for leave.
Can I, question was for you on the, so if they take 8 hours on Monday, and then Friday they hit their overtime, is that still overtime then, or?
I guess that's $1 million question. It wouldn't be paid at overtime, it would be
It'd
paid
just
at
be
their
the
regular
regular
rate,
rate?
but they would potentially be paid for 44 hours or 42 hours
Okay.
or something.
But it's at the regular rate, not the time and a half for
Right.
overtime pay?
They
Okay.
would have to actually work 40 hours
Right,
in order to get any overtime.
okay, all right, thank you.
Which we found on overtime. I mean, we really would like to not pay overtime. That is
Right.
the one thing we kept coming away with. We
Yep.
have, we have way too much overtime happening in a few spots, so
Mm-hmm.
needs to kind of be cleaned up.
Yep. And that's on number 9, that's overtime, all overtime must be approved, and it's basically gonna be limited to any employees that are doing more than 1 role in the district, or that it's absolutely essential, so, if they're working 8.5 hours or whatever a day, that's gonna get cut back to 8. Okay, so clarified that year end is June 30th, and not the payroll cutoff at the 15th. And the calendar year will be observed from July 1st to June 30th. We had an issue with leave after June 15th, and so we're making sure that the calendar year runs July 1st to June 30th. They have that time to use their leave. All leave recorded on July 1st, but if an employee terminates employment during the year, payouts will be prorated based on the time they actually work. So on July 1st, all 12-month employees get their vacation time, get their 2 weeks or whatever vacation. If they would quit during the year, wherever they're at then, that would be the buyout for that year. They still get all their accumulated up to it, but if they get 80 hours this year and they work 6 months instead of 12, they'll get 40 paid back. If they have that much. And then classified staff will receive the option of a benefit of $2,500 toward the flex plan, or 100% of the cost of district health insurance single premium. And then overtime approved by the superintendent will be limited to employees undertaking more than 1 role in the district or when absolutely essential.
Only question that came after we talked there was on the buyout. The question was, does it be a one-time or could they spread it out? Is that kind of the question that came back?
Because some of the people are concerned that they're gonna be hit hard with taxes if it's all lumped into one paycheck. So they were wondering if they could use or just pay out some of their hours periodically between now and January 1st.
How do we do that with the teachers and the classified staff? Or the teachers and the administration when we pay them out?
Theirs is paid out on set dates.
On set dates, so they spread theirs out too?
Well,
No,
like
no.
the administration is paid out on July 1.
No.
Oh, so it's a one lump
It's a
sum
lump
payment
payment.
though?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think to keep it simple,
Yeah.
one lump sum payment would be the way to go.
Agreed.
That's, I think, was our thought, but that's the question that came up that we didn't specify one way or the other. I think the thought was a
One lump
one-time.
sum payment.
Yep.
And you didn't mention in there if they wanna take the 10 days, that's before January.
Yes,
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
That wasn't on
Yeah.
there, was it?
Yep, January 1. wasn't it?
I think you're right, you didn't read it, but it's.
I thought you
yeah,
read it
max
on
of 10 days personally prior to January 1st, 2021. Then they can put the remaining hours into sick leave, take the payout of it, or a combination of both. Yep, so it had to be, everything would have to be done by January 1. But then that would pose the question, would they wanna wait till July 1 to take or January 1 to take this, or can they take it any time? I mean, that would be the question, do they have to make the decision now?
The 1 month payment, you mean?
Or, I mean, so if they're gonna,
If
say
they
they're
wanted
gonna
it
take.
this year or next year, I
Yeah.
guess that's what you're.
If they're wanting to take the 10 days and then take a buyout after January 1, or if they wanted it all now, can they wait till January 1st to take that payment? Or does it have to be, I mean, because technically, I think that what it says here is they've got till January 1 to make that decision, right?
Correct.
So they wouldn't necessarily have to take it right now if they didn't want it.
Or it'd have
They
to
could
be
wait.
decided by January 1,
Yeah.
or else you'd have to put it in there January 2nd.
Yep, so you'd have to be able to
It
tell
would
us.
be all in this year.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it probably would be this year, but I'm wondering, do they have up until the December 15th payroll to decide? That's what I'm wondering, if
So if I had decided I want mine right now, could I get mine next month?
You, no, I
Or,
think.
or
don't
if
you
I
have-
decide I want mine, then everyone's getting paid on January 1.
I think you should pick, we need to pick a date and make it easier all the way around, I think, I mean, we do it for everyone else, we do pick
and this is a special, okay, because we're actually, redoing the leave policy. So if we said November 1st, you have to have a decision by November 1st. And if you want to take those 10 days, you have the time now, but you have to either pick the 10 days and get your payout now, or by November 1st, or by October 1st, or whatever. Then you wouldn't have Lindsay writing a check for whatever hours she's got now, what Joan has, whatever, you wouldn't have those PTO hours, checks written at different times.
My personal opinion is that we just let everyone wait and decide and say they have to have a decision by December 15th for it to be paid January 1. And I really kind of would like to maybe keep some of that PTO out there in case the COVID stuff and people are actually gone and might need that time between now and January 1. And I'm one of those people that could, because I just started and don't have as much leave as everyone else does. So in my mind, I'm like, well, hanging on to it might not be the worst idea. But and if you're saying they have until January 1, I mean, they should have until January 1.
Yeah, and that's
I
for
would
the
agree with that.
cumulative,
But you
that's for the
need
cumulative
PTO for
PTO.
COVID for,
If I get sick,
to work at home, or?
well, if I get sick, or if someone gets
It
sick.
doesn't work at home at all.
So what, and that, we had a meeting today with the council, if anybody was on that. There's all kinds of different leaves that
There's
you can
different
take,
leaves,
but what it boils down to is that if it's,
If it's a certain qualifying event, so you could be gone for a week and then find out it's not actually the coronavirus because your test came back, and then you didn't qualify for that week. Maybe.
and it would only be, let's see, how many people would it be that would have cumulative PTO?
I've got a little bit, Dan's got a little bit, Bud has, I think, a lot, Deb has a lot. I think that Sharon and Deb have a decent amount in the kitchen. That's just from memory, I
Yeah.
don't know for sure.
I think
So
when
does
we-
the state have rules in place that if, she lives with somebody that has COVID, but she don't show symptoms, that she can't come to school?
That's up to us. I mean, yeah, that would be, there's something to do with the CDC, I think that would be. But then for her leave would be what we.
Well, that's what I'm
have to
saying, though, is
determine.
the state saying she can't? Because then it's.
Well, then it comes back to the Families First, which we found
Right,
out
and
about
so then
today.
you
It's
get, so then you get
2
2
weeks,
weeks.
yeah.
And I'm not sure, do you get 2 weeks several times? So if
No, I thought it was.
Right,
one
so I think
time.
it's 2
I
weeks,
think
one
it's at
time.
one time.
Yeah.
No, it's a 2-week.
You know,
deal,
so
yeah.
if your spouse gets it, you're out 2 weeks, then if you get it, you might be out
2 weeks.
2 more.
2 more weeks, or maybe another week, depending on,
But there's also different types that you could use up to 12 weeks, right?
Yeah.
right,
So-
but then some of
There's
that
So
would be
is that North
unpaid.
Dakota law or what? Cause that's different for us.
Yeah, that's what the lawyer was telling us.
And then
There's
we
a Family
also-
First Coronavirus Act that has 2 weeks that you can
And-
access.
That's the only one that we pretty much know applies to us.
Yeah.
Because the FMLA one that Danielle's talking about maybe doesn't apply to us because we don't have 50 full-time employees. And usually, if you don't have 50 full-time employees, FMLA doesn't apply.
Right, and they were checking on that.
They were checking on, he was checking on that, yes. Everything is kind of up in the air because it's a new issue for everybody.
I think
So
what we're
they're figuring it
discussing
out.
here is, because we always talked about what was accumulated on June 30th last year, so, and that's what we were looking to pay out, so. There's 2 questions, when we want to do it and pay it out, and are we gonna let it ride a little bit, or, that's the
You
case,
know,
then
what-
we're back to where we kind of were.
Well, the question is, would it be so bad if we waited till like June 30th until we played out this year of how this thing works? Would that affect us at all? 'Cause
It doesn't matter to me.
the budget's
at
the
all.
budget, right? I mean, January 1 or June 30th.
The only thing is then if you wanted in this year's budget, it would have to be paid out by June 15th on that payroll.
Okay, well, it'd still be after school's out with, so we'd at least have an idea what's going on.
We're ready in this year, no matter
Yeah.
which
Right.
way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's
So
the
what you're
negative
saying
of
is
doing?
change that January 1 to,
To
June
June 1 or June 15 or whatever it is.
You know, it might reflect on an
Since- 'cause
individual's
that's the
taxes,
school.
but it wouldn't
Yeah.
so much matter to our year, but.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, and that would be the thing is if that individual wants it on the 20 taxes or the 21 taxes.
And I'm okay doing, I mean, it's not that many people. If someone wanted it next pay period, I mean, it's not a huge
This is pretty much
process
just a
or
one-time
anything.
thing, we're doing this,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like we're gonna do it every year,
No.
so.
Right.
And you said there's what, like 6 or 7 people
Yeah,
possibly?
just a handful, you know, I mean, the most it could be is like 15 or whatever, you know, so. it's- You know, and then you have also like the cooks and the paras, you know, that only work 9 months, like, they obviously can't really get it paid out until they have another regular pay period,
Right.
so.
I think just in an effort to clean it up, we could put it so they could take it in the December payment, or if they wanted to hold it for COVID crisis, maybe take
So
it in June.
have 2 different payouts?
Yeah.
So the question is, what is the cumulative number you're gonna look? If you wait till June, are you still gonna use the June 30th?
This year's June.
This
30th.
year's, say they didn't use any days, say Lindsay didn't use any days. She's got 56 more hours. So where do those go? Because we're talking about June 30th with the number.
I don't get
She'd
56
only
more
get the
hours though, because
40
PTO is no
Well,
longer accumulated.
40 sick leave and 16.
PTO and sick are 2 separate
Yeah,
things now,
yeah.
so you'd
But-
still get your 56 sick, or 40 or
40.
whatever, 40 sick hours. The PTO is basically gonna be its own category that's now dead. Like, it's
Yeah.
never
So
gonna.
that number that's sitting there right now
We'll never
Mike,
go
will
up.
never go, it
It'll
will
never
change.
go up.
Mike,
Okay.
all they're doing is what Chad said, either we change it from whatever
Right.
you earn now, we change it from using it January 1st to June 1st.
June 3rd, yeah,
or
June
15th.
1st, yeah.
But it's just those hours,
Just those hours, yeah.
okay? Is that
Yeah.
what you meant, Chad?
Yeah, so
that's
if I think I have like 30 hours of PTO at June 30th.
So
right
she
now.
could hold them till.
So I can
Hold them
hold
30
them.
hours. That's what I was just curious,
Instead of-
clarifying so we know where we're at.
Because if she's
30 hours.
worried, you know, she had a good point there,
Yeah.
about
Hey, if we're in a unique time, I don't know why we wouldn't try to help.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And we,
That's just something that just never came up in our
Yeah,
discussions.
no, not at all, but.
do we want
it's a
to
good
do
idea.
like what Brett was saying, just
I would give them the option of what.
do the
they-
option of January 1 or December 31, whatever it is, and June 1?
We would basically say December 15th for this year would be the last one, and
Yeah.
June 15th, then, right?
Yep.
That would be the,
The 2, that
that would be
way,
the two
Either or.
options.
And they
If-
have to use it all.
All.
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
And it has to be dealt with, yeah.
Yeah.
keeps.
So they
within our
couldn't
budget.
break it into two then?
No.
No,
No.
So like if
No.
so one
Lindsay's
time,
got 30 hours, she couldn't take 15
No.
on December 15th,
no,
Right.
15.
you can take all of it, these two times.
One or the other.
One or the other.
But we're still leaving in that you can take up to 10 days of your PTO hours, max of 10 days
For vacation?
for
Yeah.
vacation.
Yes.
I think that all stays the same, it's just that you move it from January 1 to June.
Except the
or just
vacation.
add-
But the payout, if you want
Add
to,
those payout dates.
Yeah,
You wanna move the vacation thing too,
You-
or
you don't
leave
want
that?
what
at-
vacation day?
The one
The,
you
the,
get,
the 10, the
You're
10
limiting
days.
vacation, I thought you were just.
no,
No,
no, this,
no.
just the
Okay.
PTO, the
The
10
January
days.
one, do you wanna leave that for
For
the,
the 10 days.
for the
okay.
10 days?
Because we talked about that if somebody's got, we didn't want everybody taking vacation right before, whenever,
Right.
so we put it, you could use that max of 10 days.
Okay.
So do we want to leave that in there, that you got till January 1 to use 10 days of that if you choose to?
Yep.
Then before June, then I suppose it would just be if you're sick or whatever, then you could use those hours.
and if you get sick, that kinda kicks everything around, but. We'll deal with it as required.
So his recommendation, the only thing we're gonna add to that recommendation is the payouts would be two options of December 15th, June 15th. One-time payments, all in one.
And that's what, ever days they decide to sell, right?
Yes.
Whatever days they want paid back.
What's paid out
Whatever days
for?
they want paid back, they can either get paid
Yeah.
December 15th or June 15th.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, and that way if they carried them to June 15th, they'd have that ability to use those if they got sick in between, so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for that and it's all set up. Once it's worded correctly.
Yeah,
I'll
that'd be the only,
second.
that'd be the only thing we need to add, yeah.
Huh?
Yep, second by Lori. I would declare a conflict, I don't wanna vote on the tax.
Okay.
Yeah, so they would have to decide by voting or not.
Are there any other conflicts there?
Yep, me.
Oh, okay. I make a motion that we have Mike and Chad abstain from voting.
Second to that,
Second,
all in, there's that roll call.
They've been banished.
I don't think we need a roll call.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Okay. It's approved.
We didn't roll call, we just roll called you abstaining.
Oh,
Yep.
that's right.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just-
so now-
Yep.
now we
Oh, he
move
won't
to
even
the
let us
next-
vote once it's the next meeting.
So
So
Brett
then
made
we-
the motion and Lori
He seconded.
second. Rob,
Yes.
Brent,
yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Michelle.
yes,
Hold on a second.
Okay,
I don't know, I could have done
basically all we gotta do is dissolve, is that what we need? We need a motion to dissolve, or we just dissolve? We're basically done with the old year's business, so.
I think we can just dissolve, I think that's just dissolved and you,
Yeah.
and Lindsay takes over the meeting.
Yeah, so we'll dissolve the 2019-2020 school board and open up a new meeting, new business to reorganize for the next year.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting back to order and call for nominations for president.
I nominate Mike Schwer.
I second it.
Well, now she's.
Yeah, no, he's You gotta either call for,
Any other nominations?
I move nomination cease.
I second.
Are you want to cast a unanimous ballot for him?
Absolutely.
They might tune in being until
Need a
they're back
second,
on the
Dave,
road.
yes.
Chad, second.
Checking it.
I second.
You still gotta call for roll.
Okay. Do you vote?
Yeah, they all
Mike?
vote.
This is the one time you say that.
Mike?
Yes.
Chad?
Yeah.
Rob?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yeah,
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll move to appointments.
Well, you gotta do vice president too.
Yes, that's,
Oh, is that one of the appointments?
well, it doesn't show it on there, but we're gonna go
Once
for.
president's in place, now he can start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to have a nominations for vice president.
I nominate Lee Gazzetti.
I second.
Cindy. Any other nominations?
I make a nomination, I make a motion that we cease nominations, cast unanimous ballot for League of City.
I'll second that.
Second by that.
What did you say?
The proper stuff.
Oh, okay. So same motion, basically.
Yeah.
She's technically.
Yes.
Chad?
Yeah.
Rob?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Lee? Brett?
Yes.
Now we go to appointments, we're gonna assume a roll call vote and just do unanimous votes, so instead of do roll call for each one of them. So we need a motion for a business manager,
I nominate Lindsay.
okay? There's a second, Lauren?
I'll second.
I'll second. Oh,
Lori, got it. Assuming roll call vote, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Special Education Representative, who is that?
Let's second roll.
You, isn't it, Mike?
It can be Lindsay if she wants it.
I nominate Mike.
Second.
Severson, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Assuming roll call vote, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Approved. Homeless Liaison.
It's Wilson.
You don't want it?
It's Wilson. Like he has
That's who's that,
community
Mr. Wilson.
most
I nominate Mr. Wilson.
Second.
Second, by Lori. Assuming a roll call vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Committee appointments, is there anyone that would like to switch, or do we want to change any of our committees that are set right now?
You're good.
I make a motion, we keep them the same.
Second.
Okay. Committees as they are right now, assuming a roll call vote, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay. I always wanted to do that.
Any other ones we're missing? Mike, other
I don't think
appointments?
so. I think that should be,
Do we need a new one for vocational, or how does that work? Is that part of our
I
committee?
think that's just part of the committee.
Okay, so then we don't need
so,
one there.
yeah. Cause you would stay on that one being your.
Under the committee, okay. Bank depository, you wanna, what do we all got there?
Bank forward?
Bank, all,
General fund, everything's at bank forward.
everything's at bank forward, so. Need a motion for,
I'll
Do
make
you
a
care
motion
about
to-
the activity fund?
What do-
Dakota Bank has,
yeah, we should list them all there. Dakota
So
Bank,
wait, what happened, did we have anything at Dakota? Bank?
yep,
Dakota Bank.
as activity fund.
Oh, okay, okay. I gotcha.
So we got the two.
Yep.
So we look for a motion to keep the accounts as we have right now.
I'll make that.
Brett?
Second.
Second. Rob? Assuming a roll call vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then we got authorized superintendent to receive and expend federal funds for the following programs. You got the three programs, 1, 2, 4. So that
I'll
will be
make a
Mr.
motion
Seaver.
to approve.
Second.
Ooh, that was a new thing.
Brett. Assuming a roll call vote, all in favor, say aye.
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 Next is signature authorizations. We have the three, right?
business manager, superintendent, and board president.
Is what we have right now.
I make a motion, we keep it that way.
Okay. Assuming a roll call vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Board compensation, Any changes in that, or we're good? Keep it the same.
Other than being brutally underfunded, I think.
Motion to leave to keep as the same, is there a second?
Second.
Brett? Assuming a roll call vote, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Lindsay set out the destruction of which records we're gonna do. You need that list, or?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Assuming a roll call vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Fee schedule for
Leave it,
2021.
we're just recommending leave it the same.
Recommend same?
Yep.
So we need a motion to leave
I'll
fees
make
the
that
same.
a motion to approve.
Brett, second. By Lee. Okay. Assuming a roll call vote, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Approved. Membership fee for small organized schools?
I
Same.
don't know if we need a motion and just a consensus to go ahead and pay them.
Okay. Okay, we're good there?
Okay.
Then we have an open enrollment. Down there?
Yes, there's several of them, there's 5 of them. We've got 1 from Griggs County, 3 from Valley City, and 1 from Jamestown.
What age bracket?
Pre-K from Griggs, kindergarten from Valley City, 2nd grade from Valley City. This one I honestly don't know from Valley City. LaBelle? Do you know?
Oh, yeah, they have a preschooler. Who is the kindergarten from Valley City?
Bussy?
Oh, yeah, you need me to redo it? I was going, oh my gosh!
Well, we'll have to check on that
I forgot I had to redo it because we lived in Hannaford the first time. Okay, numbers aren't changing.
one. We'll see if we approve that one.
And then the Jamestown one is not filled out either. Crumley?
Oh, yeah, they have a child, they have 2 children in school already.
Is it a preschooler, this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we got 5. We need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
By Rob. Do a roll call there.
Mike?
Yes.
Chad?
Yep.
Rob?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes,
Brent?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yep.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Thanks for allowing my children to come here.
Thanks for doing the
Gonna
paperwork.
Thanks for doing that paperwork.
I have a lot on my mind, I totally forgot.
You got contract approvals and amendments.
Everything else.
I have one that came today. Krista Alman moving from BS plus 24 to BS plus 32.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve amended contract.
I so moved.
Lori,
Second.
Brett. Roll call.
Mike?
Yes.
Chad?
Yep.
Rob?
Yes.
Michelle?
yes,
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yep.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Okay. Budget, you want to?
And then just on the budget, what we did was we went through it. We'll have the formal one, or the final one will be before the October 15th meeting. We have to do it in September. But the numbers that Lindsay's gonna put into that financial report and send in is just gonna be what we discussed. And that was revenue or expenditures of $5,262,000 and then revenue of $5,262,000, just balancing it. Like I said, that may change, but this will be the preliminary one that we have to submit.
Do we need to approve that?
So,
We just need to approve this is the preliminary budget.
are we gonna go over it anymore, or this is?
Yes,
what-
we're gonna go over this, we'll go over it again before the October,
So
before
we
the
don't need to
September
approve
meeting.
it now, or?
Well, we have to approve this one, because she's gotta send it to
This
the
one in.
auditor.
It's due
Then you
August 10th.
can, then we can amend it and redo it.
We can amend it up to October,
Yep.
okay.
It used to be that you couldn't, once you approved this one, that's as high as you could go, but they've changed that now, that you can move it around, numbers and whatever, so.
Okay.
This is just the initial preliminary budget that has to be in by August 15th.
Okay. So we're looking to approval for the preliminary budget.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Rob, I'll
Rob?
second it.
Roll call.
Mike,
Yes.
Chad,
Yep.
Rob,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yep.
Lee, Brett.
Yes,
That's approved.
but let's squeeze it down.
Okay, update on the reopen process.
Okay, so I'm sure that most of you have heard, if you didn't watch Governor Burgum's press conference yesterday, he basically said, you go ahead and set up your plan, as long as you have a safety/health plan and an updated online learning plan that are approved by the board, you can go ahead and do whatever you would like to do. So we're meeting on Monday with the leadership team, which is myself, Mrs. Bussey, Mr. Wilson, Mrs. Bitts, Mrs. Kudrina, Mrs. Brin, Mrs. Jones, Mr. Schaefer, and then we added Kim for the kitchen, Bud for transportation building grounds, and Alyssa for from our BERT team. And then we're gonna need at least a couple board members, because that was the big focus yesterday in the conference, was all your plans have got to be approved by the board. So the first time when you ran it through, it was all, I mean, they basically told us how to write the plan, and you guys approved it. Now it's, you guys need to be the bottom line to approve it. You have to be the final say.
So do you only have two teachers, Stacy and,
Stacy, Jessica, Tina, and Alyssa,
but Tina's not, you know, I mean, she's technically not actually in the classroom, teaching like in classroom. Should you have more teachers on?
We're gonna survey teachers
Yeah.
and stuff before,
I don't know how big you want the group.
Multiple times.
That's the whole
Okay,
thing.
well, that's a, because
Yeah.
input is kind of important. in
Yes.
this.
yep, we did
Okay,
an
okay.
initial survey, which he asked me to share.
Yeah.
We surveyed parents, we surveyed staff, and now, like, honestly, when we were coming into this, we were expecting way more from the state. They said they wanted
Yeah.
it to be cohesive, so I called Severson yesterday and ranted.
You did send a survey out to all the parents?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
that
would've
was,
asked that today if.
that was
I
a
don't know, I know.
preliminary one, and then, and I'll get you those results. Bits has to help me figure out how to export it and do all that. I didn't know how to do that, so I can send you those results. And then we're going to have to go back and survey again, once we get more information in place, and probably a third time. So we are including our teachers that way, and I know that staff have already started emailing the representatives
Yeah,
that are on the team,
okay, good.
which is also another plus to that they're,
Yeah, 'cause that was a pretty
Recognizing that.
vague survey.
That was waste of time.
the survey?
And-
No, no, oh, I was talking about yesterday's press conference.
It was me too.
Yeah.
The survey
Waste of
was
time.
vague?
No.
Oh, yes.
No, the survey was just, I mean, we just wanted
We
to get an
wanted
idea.
to get an idea of where our community was.
And it's here and there. I mean, you're not
Yep.
gonna, you've
You
got
give
ones
me
way on the
enough
end that
options on
not
there,
coming
yeah.
back and some that are want it back.
Did you type it in? Did you
What
let us
time?
know?
I don't have that
1 o'clock.
technology to type in, it didn't say where I could, it just said this or this or this.
I mean, we got an idea from our staff too
Yeah,
of,
right here.
Right.
of who would be comfortable returning and who wouldn't be, so that we can address specific staff.
And that's why when we do the meeting, we're gonna get an idea of, are we coming back fully in person? Are we doing a hybrid? How are we gonna do it? And then we're gonna have to survey parents once we get an idea of what we wanna do. And see how many are comfortable sending them back full-time, you know, what's the thoughts out there on that? But we have to get, except we didn't get much guidance yesterday. Go ahead and do what you want, is basically what he said. And
But we
Fargo's
wanna
gonna be
do it.
different than the small communities and, you know,
Since we do have to work with our county health department, we discussed partnering with Valley City somewhat to have a similar template, similar plan, and then just adjust it to our smaller community.
Wouldn't we kind of, with the tech center, wouldn't we have to kind of be all on the same page,
Yes,
Yeah.
sort of? I mean,
yeah.
and with Valley City, and I know Bergen made the comment that he's gonna let every school know who the representative was from the health department. But, I would say it's probably gonna be Teresa Will, because she's the one we've worked with throughout this whole process, so, I would think that she would be the person we would turn to for, you know, once we get what we wanna do, how do we adapt that safety plan? What do we have to do? You know, I mean, we're gonna have 10,000 what ifs. What if a kid in the second grade gets sick?
Right.
Do we quarantine the whole elementary wing? Do we quarantine just the classroom? Do we quarantine the whole school? You know, those are things we have to figure out, because with our size, I mean, how much access do they have to each other?
And how many siblings and all that
Yep.
stuff.
And we're trying to figure out busing. You know, we talked about how do we do that? One of the comments that's came up is we have to tell parents that your kids have to wear a mask on the bus if we're not gonna social distance. Then it comes back to, does the school supply them? Well, not if you wanna ride the bus. You don't have to ride the bus, you have a choice, but if you're gonna ride the bus, you have to have a mask and you have to supply it. And those are just things that have gotten thrown out there
Why
and
wouldn't the
temperature
school
checks.
supply masks?
Well, we can, but
Yeah.
it's good, but are you gonna do cloth, are you gonna do paper, what are you gonna do?
I
And
think we
then-
should wear them in school, so I'm one of those lone people out there,
Yeah.
those crazy people that think masks are important.
See, the bus would be one thing, cause you don't have to,
It's right here.
they don't have to ride the bus. And that's
Right.
where that comment has come in from other schools, that if they wanna ride the bus, they have to provide their mask. If we require them in school, yes, then we would have to provide them. But to get them here on the bus, if we're saying they have to have a mask on the bus in order to ride our transportation, then that might be a family obligation. And if you don't want your kid to wear a mask, you have to get them there to school some other way.
I get what you're
But in school, yeah, if we said everybody in the school has to wear a mask, then we would have to provide those. They had on, for the first 15 minutes of the meeting today, they had on temperature checks, they have a kiosk that you walk through and you put your wrist under and it reads your temperature. Well, that isn't gonna do us any good to bring 250 kids on
Exactly.
buses in here and walk them through, and then, so now one kid from a bus has it, that whole bus has to leave.
Yep.
So we're thinking, are we gonna do temp checks before they get on the bus?
Well, and the problem with that is, depending on if you're using the wand, like the doctor's office where they take it to the temple and then around the ear, or you do the gun. Well, if you're outside, that gun takes the outside temperature in effect, so, because we use it at work, so our students, we have to do that, we have to make sure they're inside.
Yep.
And been inside for a while, not just walk in from outside, you know, because it,
And we could probably find one that works. I mean, typically, when a bus stops, it's one family getting on.
Yeah.
That's why we had that discussion, so you can do the screenings.
but the fact is, if it's December and they're sitting outside for 5 minutes, waiting for the bus, their whole body's gonna be colder. Or if it's 95 degrees in August and they get on the bus.
And nothing we're gonna do is gonna
Yeah.
be perfect.
No.
It's gonna
No,
have to
and
be
that's
consistent.
what
And
I'm saying
a
with,
good point, though, that-
that's the bad thing with the gun.
Yeah.
The wands, the temperature ones,
Yep,
a little bit more accurate than the guns.
yep. And they, Dan made the comment that they sell the guns at any auto shop, they have them. Napa's got them,
What?
you know, yeah.
Yeah, it's for just a temperature gun.
It's just a temperature gun.
Yeah,
Well, that's
Yeah.
funny.
You know, that's
What
not
is that?
accurate on
Example?
skin though.
What a strange place to sell it.
Some are, probably not the ones that sample, but
Right, true.
the ones we have are body and area.
Yeah,
Right.
they're different
Yeah.
ones.
Because the one, I've had them, and I always checking my temperature, and my skin's never the same as putting it down my throat and doing it, that's more accurate.
Well, yeah, because your body is,
Well, I know, but that's why if you're gonna just laser somebody coming down the bus, it's not gonna be accurate.
oh,
The
yeah.
thermal imaging camera.
Were you paying attention the last 5 minutes?
Yes, I know there's different ones, but somebody said you can get them at Napa or whatever.
yeah, the guns you can't, those temp guns, but that, like I said, they're not gonna be real accurate. I mean, if that's the kind we're using, but, so we're gonna have to figure that out.
But it would be smart, you're right, to do that before they ever get on the
Oh,
bus.
yeah,
But
they
then you
should.
stop, the
They should.
whatever.
Yeah, because if we do when they get in, now you're running 250 kids through, and that one kid on that bus, you contaminate the whole bus now.
We don't
So
really
now-
have bus stops where the kids stop and wait.
Right.
No.
I mean, aside from, I mean, Valley
Valley
City, they
City and
sit in the
Jamestown.
cars, Jamestown, you know, I've never seen anybody sitting outside and waiting.
But if they had the fever this morning, they
Yeah.
were contagious yesterday,
Mhm.
and they were on the bus and at school, so,
I just told Mr. Severson that, I said, obviously, if fever was the first sign of being contagious, it would be pretty contained by now.
Right.
It's like hands, foot, mouth. By the time we know you have it, it's too late. So,
If you ever know you got it.
You
But-
spread the lesson.
but I feel like if we're taking those steps to show that we're doing everything we can to prevent it, it's only going to cover us
Cause
in the
that's,
long
I mean,
run.
when you go
That's,
anywhere,
that's the gist of it, is covering us.
you go to the doctor, that's the first thing they check is your temperature to see, you know, so, I mean, I think that's pretty standard for what people are gonna expect, is that we're at least taking temperatures and, you know, not letting kids with fevers.
Which would stop influenza A from coming to the school too.
It would be helpful, yes.
You could also have a check at some point during the day.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Once they're
mean,
here, I mean, try to get them before, but there would be good to have a check during the day.
And
If you wanna get lunch, you gotta get checked.
Yeah, that kiosk that they have would be, we could probably use for kids that drive. You know, have to come to the office and scan their wrist or whatever, that aren't riding a bus and aren't checked early.
it's a North Dakota business.
Yep,
Here, look at me pitching now after I was so annoyed with it.
You heard the same
You could
thing?
use it for other things
Yeah.
besides temperature,
Yeah.
so,
And it's portable, you can take it here and there.
like a portable, what did they say, media advertisement stand, I don't know. I stopped listening, I was really annoyed.
The biochip in your arm, you scan that easier.
But, I mean, it would be helpful to make sure that it was quick and
Yeah.
kids weren't standing in line during that
Yeah.
initial.
Has there been any talk, like, if we open school, there's gonna be some people that aren't gonna be comfortable coming? Are we gonna have a distance learning
that's
plan?
that's what we're working
That's what we're
on,
talking
starting on Monday, we're gonna put that team together to work all that out. And then that plan that team puts together comes back here, we'll have to have a special meeting. And then once that plan is approved, we'll have to advertise it. And, you know, cause we may, I know Valley City, Danielle said Valley City's already pushed their school back a week.
Right.
Cause that first week, they're gonna do all in-service
Training.
training. Okay, so we start a week before them, so that puts us 2 weeks ahead of them. So we're gonna have to, that's something we're gonna have to discuss. And it's got thrown out there, do we re-amend our schedule now and go with the Valley City schedule just for next year, being that, you know, that all this stuff hit? Do we re-amend and start 2 weeks later, and we could either keep our graduation the same, or move it a couple weeks, or move it a week later, whatever, you know, depending on how I wanna do it. But that's all discussion that we'll have with the team on what we wanna do for that.
Have
I
you
think
guys,
I'd wanna keep it ahead to 2 weeks, and then if we get an outbreak, you can shut everything down here for a couple of weeks if you need it. And you still have that flexibility in the schedule, wouldn't you?
Does it make a
I
difference?
just think less than a month to try to get all this stuff in
Yeah,
place.
well, that's just it. We were expecting a lot more guidance from the state,
Yeah,
and they literally provided us with nothing.
yeah.
So the only thing we're getting is from the North Dakota Council of Educational Leaders, and even she said today on our call, we're scrambling to get templates in place for districts to use,
Yeah.
because what we were told was that they didn't wanna have to go through approving, how many districts are there? 175? 175 plans again, so they're gonna come up with something more cohesive. Well, now, I think they kind of are like, got a bunch of backlash, and now they're kind of putting it on the school boards instead of having them approve it. If your school board approves it, if you were on the call, they said school board 65 times in 5
Yeah.
minutes. So a lot of the fallback is coming to the board now.
Wouldn't you want that if you were in that position?
Yeah, you gotta let.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're literally pushing the buck, and
And I think a lot of it came because of when they closed schools, he made all the decisions. And I think he got pushback from legislators and board members and everybody else saying, you gave the guidelines and you said, and we had to follow it. We would like a little bit of that local control back, and he went to the extreme again now. All local, you decide.
I don't
So,
think they will
have-
make the tough decision.
I mean, if you guys are willing, we know that we're gonna have to put in more time, but we need some representatives. I mean, we could get it done in that time, but it's going to take a couple of you guys.
Yeah.
To be an active
Exactly, we
part
don't,
during the
it doesn't really want us put a plan together, come to you guys and have all 9 of you discussing
Yeah,
that plan and throwing it back and saying, we didn't have any representation on this, I don't like it.
yeah.
So at least a couple, 2 or 3 of however many you'd like to put on there.
I trust both of you.
Yeah, but that's, but
Thank
that,
And I
and
think
I,
Lori would be good on there.
I can't be here Monday, I mean, I'm going.
I would like to, but I will be gone Monday, I'll be in
Yeah.
Medora, so.
We
Vacation
see where your
Yeah.
priorities
during
are.
COVID?
Yeah.
Taking
I'm
notes.
actually going.
North Coast Smart.
Truthfully.
I mean, we could always, we know the questions. We were expecting the questions we answered yesterday, they weren't. So we could always give you guys a list of questions and get your feedback on those specific things to at least get started on
I know
Monday.
Mr. Wilson's gone next week too, so starting after Monday, he will be driving, so he won't be able to be here. So we would get kind of kind of lay out some things that you need to discuss and do the research on it. And then he said after that, he could probably zoom in, cause we're not gonna be able to meet daily, but, every other day or whatever, we're gonna have to right away to get this rolling. So if you weren't there on Monday, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would
I
just be.
can be there Monday. Hello?
Yes,
I'm here.
yes, thank you, Michelle.
I'm sorry that I can't be there tonight, but I can be there on Monday.
That,
Who else is interested?
What
interested, I
time
don't want to
Monday?
be interested.
Monday'd be 1 o'clock, but if you can't make it Monday,
you can
that
still
would,
be
we could,
part of
it wouldn't be, like I said, wouldn't be the end of the world, because it would be just kind of getting ideas to start with, to get the ball rolling, and then if you came in, if we decide to meet Wednesday, and with the group, we could probably go to evenings too. We weren't gonna because we had, all staff and people that were related, but with you guys having outside jobs, we may have to go to evening meetings, just because of
Put
that.
the curriculum committee on
What are we doing with the teachers?
Actually, that's legit.
Working outside of contract, is that
Yeah,
going
but
to bring up
that's
an
something
issue?
we'd have to talk over.
That would be
We'd
a
have to-
discussion, I would think.
I could do Monday at 1.
Okay, so
So then
Michelle
if
and
you guys-
Cindy are in?
Yeah, if you guys step up, then you maybe should take the ball the whole way.
Yeah.
No, I mean legitimately, right? Because then you're
Well-
gonna get,
Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong to have 3 if you.
I mean,
I
I'd like to go, but I
Brett's
just
idea
can't do
about
it
the
in the-
curriculum
during the day.
Yeah,
and my thing is I can't do it during the day either.
yeah, and see, I think that, because we were anticipating that we were gonna put the plan together, and then get it approved, but this way, as many times as we heard school board, we don't wanna put you guys in a position where we have to sit here on a Monday night at 6 o'clock and start discussing this plan and go through it page by page, and not one of you having any idea that hasn't even been involved in any discussions.
Yeah.
And we have to discuss each point. So if we've got a couple members and, that can kind of, and so I think if Michelle and Cindy and then Lori or whoever else wants to jump in there in the evening, if we,
Yeah. If you, we'll try to fit it in. I
Okay.
mean, really, yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
That whole group sounds like a good idea.
so Mike, Michelle, Cindy and Lori, and you will be there Monday.
I can't do
Okay,
it.
So Michelle and Cindy were meeting here.
yep,
at
meeting at
one.
1 o'clock on
1
Monday.
o'clock, 1 o'clock.
In
In
the
the media
library.
center, yep. And then we'll get started with that and get the basics out. I think that'll be more discussion on what do we need, what types of things are we gonna have to put in this plan. And like I said, I'm gonna get ahold of Teresa and find out if she can't be there, if she can give us some ideas on what we need. The DIRT team from Valley City's meeting in the morning, that's a district emergency response team, and I'm in on that call, so they'll give us some idea of what their plan, what they're looking at. And then we've got the Southeast and NDCL tomorrow afternoon, so we'll get some ideas on what they're putting together too. So I think we had talked about being we're so tight with Valley City as far as countywide, it'd probably be good if we had similar plans. Obviously, we're not gonna be able to have the same plans because of their size and ours, but at least we could have some similarities in there.
You wanna touch base, maybe even Maple Valley, which is more our size?
Yeah.
Just touch
Yeah,
base.
they're on, I know Maple Valley they're in on the call, Hope Page is in on the call, Oaks is in the call. Josh invited all the ones in the special ed unit
Special ed.
and sit in on that DIRT meeting, but it's their district, their response team.
Yeah.
But he just invited us into it, so.
Have we heard any from staff? I don't need, no names or anything, but Anybody concerned about coming back as far as staff or?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 8 come up on the survey, but 3 put names, and I think one of them answered the survey a few times, so. It's
Yeah.
hard for us to reach out to the staff when they didn't put their name, but
Right.
we've already started discussion with the
Yeah.
others.
On this, basically what the attorney said today is, having an underlying condition is not a reason not to go back to work.
Right.
You have to go back at some
So
capacity.
there's extra precautions. that you
Yep,
gotta
and
take.
that's, they said reasonable accommodations. Because that's one of the things, you know, and we do have one that's got some very underlying conditions, and we visited today, and she's concerned, but she's willing to work, but she just, needs to try to figure out how
How's the best way
everything's
for her?
gonna, best way for her to accomplish it. So, yeah, those are things that, because it was interesting to listen to the guy talk to me about, some of the things, because, he had some things that I had never even thought of,
Right.
so it's,
And thank you to those of you that jumped on the call, because I felt like it was, the board needed to hear
Yeah.
the
some of the
legality
legalities, yeah.
behind it.
Any other questions, plan-wise, to get started Monday?
Sounds good.
Okay, we want to spend some money. This guy from Steins was in. They've got backpacks that Dave and Joan would have, and they would wipe down the rooms, and then this has got a positive charge, and he said you go and we've got all the cleaning supplies. They would just basically fog the room and then close the door and leave, and the room would be completely disinfected.
Is this like what they do on the buses then?
But then there's a third one that they could get a portable one for the buses. They could go in and fog the buses.
How much are these bad boys?
3 packs, $4,000.
A what?
3 of the 2 backpacks and the portable, $4,000.
And how many times can you use them?
You can use them all the time.
Reusable.
They're
you
reusable,
add more chemicals to
but
it.
it's just that
I see.
you're gonna have to buy obviously their chemical. But we already have a supply of their chemicals that go right into this backpack that can be cleaned. But supposedly this machine, how did Bud explain it, goes, turns it positive and then it clings to everything and
Something to do
disinfects
with
it.
ions,
Yeah.
that's how he explained it.
Well, when you have your
Is it
meeting, aren't you gonna have to be
charged?
looking at other things to
What about?
purchase, so?
Yes.
proven?
Well,
Nothing's
but
proven on any of this.
Bud would like to get these now so that we're sure to have them, is what, that's the
Yeah.
reason.
I agree with you.
We'll
Is
make
this
a motion
proven
to buy 'em.
is this
Yeah,
proven to work? Or is this?
Nothing's proven to work.
I mean, it's so new, I think
Yeah.
it's the thing saying, oh, we do this every night when students leave
Yeah.
to
It-
protect
It's,
us.
it's one of those things that,
Is
if
this
you,
gonna
if you wear
be-
a mask, you may or may not, but if you don't wear a mask, you know you're gonna get it, but you may or may not get it if you wear a mask. It's one of
Is
those
this
things.
gonna be in lieu of wiping down stuff?
No,
Okay.
they're gonna wipe everything down. This
Leave.
is just when they leave, they're gonna disinfect so
You're a farmer.
that it
What's
kills
the
the virus.
stuff we put in, like, we did this a couple of years ago in Rogers at the elevator. That's ionic something.
The ionic surfactant to make it clean
Well,
better,
they-
you know?
This machine came and put it through grain bins to get rid of the smell and the leak
Did it work?
for a little bit.
You gotta get that rotten grain out eventually.
But it did, it came back. But it was a long process, but that was called something like the same stuff.
Yeah, this is a electrostatic backpack sprayer.
Have you ever heard of that?
No, not that, but there's like positive charge paint and, you
Yeah,
know,
I can
So
find out
there's-
tomorrow. what it
there's
is.
probably something to it.
we do that a lot on, the negative and positive charge it and sticks. and-
As you visit with your other group tomorrow, there's gonna be other ones that have looked at some different things,
Yes.
maybe they got some ideas too.
Okay,
But, because there's gonna be other things we're gonna need to purchase, so I think we just gotta open that up for your guys' discussion on Monday.
Okay.
That's
Whatever
your
it is.
discretion to purchase those. I
okay.
recommend.
But I mean, and the thing is, we can use, we could use those ESSER funds.
You're gonna, that's what I say, cause use
We
that
got
type
that
of.
64,000 that we really haven't earmarked anywhere, we
Right.
can use that for these two.
So I think I'd research them, talk with the others, and you guys can make some kind of call.
To what?
We'd still
We still have 60 left after.
See how quick I.
Yeah.
Subtracted.
Subtracted. Cindy helped you out on
Takes
that?
Make it happen.
Okay. Part of that will be with the
Yep.
group, and you can see what
Yep.
everybody else is doing. Any correspondence we have? Any other questions?
I have one other thing that wanted to be brought up by one of the parents. The dance concessions with the dance team versus the Booster Club.
Yep,
Have we talked to the dance team? They know
I
about
did,
that? Okay,
yep, I informed them.
okay. That's all I really got.
Another question, are we doing a retreat? Because we were gonna wait until
That's what I was,
today.
next thing I was gonna bring, go ahead. We talked about coming back this meeting and deciding that.
Well, we're gonna have to have a special meeting, so whether we wanna do it as a retreat or just a special meeting, because you're gonna have to go through the plans and approve those, so that's gonna have to be before the August meeting.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely gonna have to have this approved and out to the public, and you guys have to approve it before we can send it.
I think retreat should maybe just sit back.
I think the focus is to get that approved, and
Yes.
then we look at the retreat.
Okay,
I
so,
think just focus on the
special
focus.
meeting, special meeting to, once we get the plan, where we want it, bring it in, get it approved, get it out there, and then we'll discuss
Yeah.
retreat later in the fall meeting.
Is the retreat something everybody wants to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I believe that's the focus. We should work on the COVID part, get that addressed,
Perfect.
and then we'll work with the retreat.
Paid lunch retreat.
Yes, it is. It is every time we do it.
What's the timeline on what we think we gotta have to get a special meeting to get the school thing approved?
There's no real timeline, just that you're gonna put your parents at a real
Disadvantage.
disadvantage if we don't get this done within the next few
Because
weeks.
school's supposed to start the 18th, right?
18th of August,
Yeah,
yes.
so we don't have a lot of time to
And,
play around.
and that one of the first things that's gonna come up that we're gonna discuss is that week of the 18, 19, 20, 20, whatever it is, using that as trainings and in-services, no kids, but just, for the bus drivers, for the custodians, for everything, for the teachers, what types of things do we need, getting the rooms ready, physically getting everything ready that week. So we'll probably, I'm guessing we may have to push our start date back a week at the minimum.
Are we, okay, so now sports, you're gonna learn more tomorrow.
Yep.
But are we gonna have to approve something or how's that gonna work? Because that practices are gonna start in just a couple weeks.
Yep,
Well, depending on what the high school league is.
yep.
Oh, yeah, and that's your meeting tomorrow?
Well, they're gonna have they have a return to play committee that's working right now. And they're gonna give us the guidelines on what we have to do.
Tomorrow?
So, we're hoping that they have them tomorrow,
Okay.
yes. But that would be, and then that's all gonna have to address what happens if we're scheduled to play Enderlin on Saturday and they come up with a kid that has
Right?
the coronavirus. Now we don't play them. So now we're out of game. So and then it's all gonna depend on what they come up with for practices. Right now you're not even supposed to be scrimmaging
Right.
in the buildings.
Do you even think sports is gonna start?
Well, if you look at it, South Dakota, Minnesota, they're playing basketball. All our travel teams are go down to South Dakota, Minnesota, they're playing tournaments every weekend, basketball tournaments. They just had the softball tournament in Bismarck.
They have a bunch of people get.
I don't know if it was
They
through
go
that.
to school, they can play games.
They're having a national tournament, a volleyball tournament, they're having one, they got a big one coming up, I'm not sure when it is. I haven't seen it, they haven't played football, but volleyball's been going on, basketball's been going on, softball's been going on, baseball.
Basketball, you
I
work
think-
on each other.
I think
more than you do
the
in
big thing too is
football.
spectators not having a lot of, it's a
You
third of the
restrict it.
spectators or whatever.
Well, Philadelphia already announced that they won't have
They won't
fans
have
this,
No fans.
this year at all.
You said Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, the
Do
Eagles.
they have fans?
Carson Wentz fans?
They're going to have fans that are outside of the building
Yeah.
together.
So what do you, what do you,
Yeah,
you just can't get, they just won't let you even close to the stadium now. Before you had a tough time getting there, now they let you close.
Should be at the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah,
Well, if we
He's got a
don't,
big screen showing in front of him.
well, they're gonna be in the streets and everything else, but,
if we don't do anything, we're gonna be having the same discussion next year at this time.
Yeah?
Just
And
gotta
following
push
year.
it forward and roll with it.
It'll be over in November. They will.
Yeah, at least they'll be ready for basketball.
Watch. It'll be over in November.
Any other discussion? Any others?
Sounds good.
We're adjourned.
So are you gonna talk about the next meeting?
Oh, yeah, yes,
wait.
yeah, we got one more.
One more thing.
Lindsay's got a meeting in Sioux
Sioux
Falls.
Falls, my training
Her
for
training is
SUI
during
was
that time.
moved to
the
August
19th.
18th, 19th, and 20th.
Is that a problem
So-
for us, I see August 19th is,
Well, you'll just take notes for her, that's all you're gonna.
we want legible notes.
So we could go, you could either go the 26th, or we could move it up a week, I mean, depending on
When
what
we
you
were
want to do.
using Zoom, I just thought I would do it that way, but now we're not doing Zoom, so.
Can't we set it up so she can?
She could zoom in.
I mean, Michelle's,
Look at that big
Michelle,
screen,
can
we
you
could have her
hear?
smiling face right on
Michelle
that thing.
here, good?
I'm here, yeah, I am.
Can you hear,
Can you
can you
hear?
hear everybody?
Once in a while I can hear someone.
Oh, well, that doesn't work, I need to be able to
You
hear.
gotta be able to hear.
What are you saying about me?
No.
Don't tell her.
I say we move the meeting to a different
Yeah.
date,
Yeah.
if that's all right.
So you said the 26th?
So you wanna go a week later?
I think we need to go a week earlier,
I,
What you're
in
leaving?
case we got
Well,
other things to deal
If
with.
we've
Yeah.
got,
Not a bad idea right now.
because that'd be, this is right the day after school would have started. right?
19th is the day after school start, yeah, we're gonna have to have a special meeting between, somewhere
Next
in
week.
the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So, do you wanna have a special meeting and then a regular meeting, or do you want a special
I'd say-
meeting, push it back? It doesn't, makes no difference to me, it's up to you guys, cause any of those nights work.
I'd say special on the 12th. We moved it up a week, it'd be the 12th then.
Yeah.
Is that financials?
Makes it
There'll be some bills
Just some
that
late bills.
will be late,
Okay.
so.
So school board on the 12th?
Well, the
regular
12th.
school board?
Regular.
Regular
meeting
school
on the
board meeting
12th.
on the 12th,
Okay,
7:00.
12. Okay,
And should you set up a special meeting now while everybody's in here?
well, I think it's
I
gotta
think
wait till
we gotta
you
figure out
guys
where
meet.
we're at.
We gotta let the teams decide
Yeah.
what they come up with.
Could we approve it on the 12th if that's an option?
Oh, boy.
Would that be
No,
an
no, you're gonna wanna probably get that
You
before.
wanted that much earlier than that.
Hopefully within a week
Hopefully
and a half
before
or 2
I was
weeks.
thinking by the 1st of August, we should know.
I think after you
Just
guys
getting,
meet.
getting it
we'll-
out to the parents is the problem.
Yeah.
If we wait till the
I'm
12th,
sure I'm not sleeping at night.
yeah,
so-
well, if we don't start, if we don't make the decision on the 12th, it would start on that Tuesday.
No, I think you guys.
You wanna
have your-
sleep, or what?
I already haven't been.
I think you guys meet and then you
Yeah.
see when we're ready to get that special meeting.
Do any nights make a difference? Is Wednesday nights, I mean, I guess I shouldn't even ask, because we're gonna have to do whenever we can, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you should,
I think it's one of those things that you just have to make your schedule work.
yeah.
Yeah, every night's bad, just
Yeah.
let me know when it is and we'll
Right.
work it in.
I think you get it when you think you need to get it presented to us and
Okay.
go from there.
Perfect.
Okay,
That works.
adjourned.
This time you mean it.